Hello, beautiful people. This is South Alabama Cooking. I'm working on a project in the kitchen today. I pulled something out of my freezer that I needed to work on, and that is some dewberries. I had picked berries back the last of April, the 1st of May. That's when the dewberries get ripe, and dewberries are the first ripe blackberries here in South Alabama. So we were RVing, and I didn't have time to really put them up and do what I wanted to with them. So I just picked them and I froze them. But I've pulled them out today because I've got time to work on them. So I'm going to make blackberry jam today. So here we are. I've got my dewberries here. I've got this pot. I've already put a lot of them in here. And see, I've got them in these Ziploc bags here. I'm just putting them over here in my pot because I need to cook them down tender. All right, I have got a pretty good many in there. I was debating whether to put these other in here or not, or to save them, but I think I'll go ahead and put them in. These are some little smaller packages that I had packaged up for blackberry cobbler, but I have some in the freezer still for blackberry cobbler. So I'll just go ahead and put these in here too. And this is going to make me no telling how much blackberry jam. And blackberry jam is my favorite jam of all. And last year the blackberries didn't make good here where I live, and so I didn't get to put up any blackberry jam last year. So it has been a year since I have put up blackberry jam. So I'm really looking forward to this. All right, I've got my berries in here. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of water in the bottom of this pot. Not a whole lot, because I like my blackberry jam to be really strong and concentrated. So I don't want a whole lot of water in there. And the reason that I go ahead and just cook them for a little bit is because I'm going to put them through a sieve, and it will go through that sieve easier if the berries are nice and tender and soft. Okay, we've got the stove right there behind us. I'm going to go ahead and put this pot on the stove and let this start cooking. And it'll take, I don't know, probably several hours. The berries are frozen, and that is a big pot full of berries, so it'll probably take several hours for that to cook down. Okay, so at this point in time, you have several options to choose from. You can take the whole berries and make blackberry jam with the whole berries, or you can just use the juice and make blackberry jelly. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put mine through this sieve right here, and I'm going to remove the majority of the seeds, but I'm going to leave the pulp. So I'm going to actually make a blackberry jam that has the pulp in it, but very little seeds. So I'm putting everything through the sieve right now. And here's where, okay, we'll start right here. So I need to get some of my berries, put them in the sieve. All right, now here's my pestle right here. And we're going to crush these berries, and that will crush out the juice and the pulp. And the reason that I do this, get out the seeds, because I just don't like so many seeds in my jam. They kind of get stuck in my teeth, and so I would just rather them not have very many seeds. And you want to wear old clothes when you're doing this, because this juice will stain your clothes. If it gets on you, it'll stain your clothes badly. All right, now these seeds and pulp that I have right here that's left in the sieve, I'm going to put them over in this pot right here, and I'm going to cook them a second time to get out any extra juice and pulp that I can get out of it. And then I'll put it through the sieve a second time. And that way I'm getting as much pulp and as much juice as I can out of these berries. And that's important to me because, you know, it's a lot of work going out and finding these berries and picking them and picking them in the hot sun. And it was really hot this summer when I was picking these berries. So I want to make the best use of my fruit. Okay, so I've extracted the juice and the pulp, and we're ready to make our jam. Now I use surejell, and I go by the directions in this box. And I'm going to use the jelly recipe, not the jam recipe. And the reason for that is because I have already taken out a lot of the pulp and almost all of the seeds. So that means I have a thinner product. So I need to use the jelly recipe so that my jam will set well. Okay, so let's turn around here to the pot. I have 3 1/2 cups of juice right there in my pot. I need to put in 1 package of surejell. So let's get that stirred in. We'll stir this in well. And I need to add 1/2 teaspoon of butter. You can add a little butter if you want to. You don't have to. And that's supposed to help reduce the jelly from having so much foam on the top that you have to skim off. There will still be some foam, but this is supposed to help reduce that. So I'm going to stick that in there. Now, what we need to do is let this juice come to a boil, and then we will boil it for 1 minute, and then we'll be ready to add our sugar. All right, our mixture is boiling. We're going to let it boil for 1 minute. All right, now it's time to add our sugar. I have 4 1/2 cups of sugar. Let's add that in there. Stir that in good. Then we want to bring this back to a boil and boil it for 1 minute. Now I have back over here in these pots, I'm sterilizing my jars back over in here, and I've got my lids sterilizing right there. And I have this little pot right here with a canning disc in the bottom of it. And I'm going to actually water bath my jars in this little pot because I will only be making, this batch will only make about 5 half pints at a time. So I can just stick them in here and have them water bathing and go ahead and start on my next batch of jelly. All right, this has been boiling for 1 minute. Let's take it off of the burner, and we are ready to start putting this into our jars. I've lost my magnet on the end of this. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something different. Get some of these lids out of here and get them ready to go. Aha, I found my magnet. There it is right there. Okay, let's get that off of there. Okay, we're ready to start pouring this up into the jars. Let's turn this around where y'all can hopefully see what I'm doing here. Okay, here's my little funnel. I tell you almost every time that I'm canning stuff, this was my Granny Cochran's metal funnel. She used it when she made jelly. There's my 1 cup measurer. Okay, let me find my 1 cup measurer. Here we go, got it. Okay, ready to start dipping this up. me stir this bottom up here. Got a little bit of that surejell that looked like didn't totally dissolve there in the bottom, so let me just stir it up good. All right, there we go. Now this usually makes more than what the recipe says that it will make. This is saying that it will make 5 half-pint jars. But I've already got 5 jars poured up here. It looks like I have enough for another jar. So let me get me another jar out. And let's see if we can fill that one up. I think I may have enough to fill up another jar. So let me get another jar out. I got Carla to bring me home 3 dozen half-pint jars yesterday. And that's a good thing because it looks like I'm going to about use them all up. And we are going to have plenty of blackberry jam, and that is fabulous. And the leftover pulp and juice, I'm going to actually use that, add a little water to that, put that on the stove and boil it a little bit, and I'm going to use that to actually make blackberry jelly. So we are going to have all kinds of jam and jelly here. All right, let me wet this paper towel. Just dampen this paper towel just a little bit. Make sure that the rim of this jar is nice and clean before we put our lids on it. And I'm reaching over here, I'm just cleaning all of my jars off. And we have almost got this first batch together and ready to go into our water bath canner. And then I can immediately start on my second batch. And so this will be the process of getting all of this jelly made. It's just kind of like an assembly line. Okay, let me get a couple more lids out. Now let's get our rings and screw those on. And these jars are really hot. You have to handle them with a rag or a towel. Trying to make sure that y'all can see what I'm doing here. All right, now I'm just going to hand tighten them a little bit. And we're ready for these to go into the canner. Let's turn around here to our little canner. There it is right there. All right, let me get my tongs and we will start putting all of this into our canner. Trying to make sure my disc is kind of centered up there. All of my jars will fit on it nicely. So I'm just picking my jars up, dropping them down in here. Let's turn this around. Picking the jars up like that. Bringing them over here. Let's see, right there. Putting them down in here. Hope I can get them all in here. If not, I may have to put another pot on the stove here. Okay, I think I can get them all in. I got one more. So this little canner will hold, let's see what it'll hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will hold 7 half-pint jars. Okay, now we're going to let that water bath canner, we're going to let our jam, we're going to let the water come to a boil. You need to make sure that your water is at least 2 inches over the top of your jars, your lids. Then I'm going to let the water come to a boil and I'm going to boil them for 10 minutes. Then after that, I'll take them out. I'll set them over here in the corner on a towel. We'll let them set there for 24 hours. We'll listen for the lids to seal. I'll feel the lids to make sure that they are depressed and sealed. And then after 24 hours, I can move them to a cool, dark place to be ready to use whenever I'm ready to pull some out. I've got all the jam made. We have 35 half-pint jars. I am just really happy about this. Okay, let me show it to you. Well, this has been a good day's work. This is South Alabama Cooking. Y'all be good out there, and we'll see you next time with another great video.